I was pretty young. I was about 6, 7 years old. I just saw that at an early age, and he was a very good singer. He's a very good singer still, but he's not doing it. He gave it up professionally to raise me. And then that didn't last. They split up for other reasons, and I just sort of, I think, got at an early age. I was singing around the house. My mom remembers I used to sing when I was around 6, 7 years old, just sing. My grandfather tells a great story, and to this day he keeps telling this story, and I'm going to tell it to you. I was about 4 years old, I think, 4 or 5 years old, and I was just, I guess, standing up leaning against the back of a pickup truck, and he was a farmer in the San Joaquin Valley, and it was an old pickup truck that kind of had the hard metal dashboards, and he slammed the brakes because something ran in front of him. It was either a jackrabbit or something. I was raised in an agricultural country, part of the country. And I went flying forward, and I was singing as this is happening, and he speaks like this. He says, he was singing, in tune, he was singing right. And he says, I went flying forward, whacked my head on the dash. He was so afraid that I was knocked out of my brain. He grabs me, puts me back, stands me back up. I just kept singing like nothing happened, and the blood was dripping down my nose from my forehead. And my grandfather says he just started to cry because he didn't want to scare me by showing him how scared he was for me, because I just let it go on like nothing happened. And so that's kind of a little story.
Steve Perry was in a lot of music groups before Journey, and every time that it looked like a record deal would happen, something would shoot it down. But the final straw was his last group, the Alien Project. 3 different record companies recording the band. Everything was just great. But then
the bass player got killed 4th of July in a car wreck on a freeway, Ventura Freeway, coming to a barbecue. The band was having a little get-together because it was a 4th of July weekend, and the next Monday we were going to celebrate that night, because the following Monday, we were going to talk some serious paper. And everybody was going, wow. Richard was from Detroit, and he was so excited. He kept phoning home to his family, and he could sing. This guy, him and I were like he could sing higher than I could, and he was the Bobby Hatfield above me. That high voice above me. He could hold a note as long as I could. We had this great thing going, a great vocal thing happening that no one had. And so when that happened, I gave up. I did. I was getting too close too many times. I was pretty frustrated.
Steve Perry was devastated over the loss of his friend and the loss of another chance to accomplish his dream of being a singing star. So he gave notice on his apartment and was about to go back home to get a job when he got a call from Don Ellis at Columbia Records, who said,
are you interested in a group we have on the label? I said, to be honest with you, I don't know. I was really distraught about the whole thing. The closer I would get, the bigger the adversity would come up to knock me away. And this is the closest I had ever been. And that had to be the biggest thing could come to knock that out of the way, to getting signed to a label, which is what you want, to make records. So I thought someone somewhere up there was saying, Steve, I think you ought to go home. Well, he said there's a group called Journey on the label, and they've been primary and instrumental group for a long time, but they're looking to make a change. We have this producer, Roy Thomas Baker, who did Queen, and he wants to produce their first album with more vocally oriented material. I says, I like the group and all that, but I don't know what I want to do yet. So I said, please, Don, don't make you think I'm being inappreciative of your offer, but I just don't know what I want to do. So to make a long story short, he called me up again. He says, well, look, I sent the tape of your group, the Alien Project, to the manager, and Herbie liked it so much, he just really wants you to go out and fly out to the band. They're in Denver, Colorado right now, opening for ELO. So I flew out there, And I did it. I joined the band.
First came Wheel in the Sky, and then the song Patiently. But the first hit was Lovin', Touchin', Squeezin'.
You make me weak.
Next, Steve Perry tells about meeting Journey for the first time. Steve tells how it went meeting the guys for the first time.
Everybody was pretty friendly, about the idea, but I was definitely the new guy in town. And to put it bluntly, it wasn't shortly after that. I remember Pat Morrow was the road manager at that point in time. Pat says, "Okay, all right, Perry, the honeymoon's over. Let's get to work. We know you're in. Let's just, that was basically it for the rest of the tour. Okay, the honeymoon's over for the new guy. Let's get to work,
And the work paid off in August of 1981 when Journey hit with their biggest song to date, Who's Crying Now? Journey was settling in with their new sound. They had to go through a lot of changes to make the transition from a San Francisco Bay Area instrumental band to a world-class superstar group.
Yeah, I joined the band in 78, and then Ainsley left, I think, sometime after that. I think it was in 79, 80, and we got Steve Smith because the group was going through a musical change. And it was pretty much amicable situation because the kind of music we were going into at that point in time, I think he wasn't really wanting to do. So we went our separate ways. No pun intended there. And then came Greg Raleigh had pretty much had enough of the music business, and he was saturated with it from Santana going right into Journey, and then Journey started to take off. It was just, he just wanted to settle down, as he said, and make sure his dog doesn't die while he's gone. So, just everyday things. He wanted to just do that because you can get burnt, and you don't want to become a burn victim. So he quit, and we got John Cain. In fact, John Cain was one of his recommendations because he was on tour with the Babies while they were opening for us. So that then came John Cain and came the Escape album.
And a song that's become a Journey trademark, Don't Stop Believing.
Just a small town. Stop believing.
Next, Steve Perry talks about handling the pressure of being a superstar.
You're listening to the Sunday Special on 107 WAAF.
Superstars of Rock, featuring Steve Perry and Journey. When success comes to any band, the responsibilities for achieving even greater success is often a tremendous burden. And it's this very pressure that can make or break an act. Steve Perry has some thoughts on this.
There is no pressure. There will be no pressure. Forget it. Nothing good happens when somebody says you have to do it. Nothing. Nobody wants to work that way. Nobody hates, everybody hates being told what to do to start with. It's just something inside of you that doesn't like being told what to do. That's what you leave home for. That'll drive you out of the house when you're 16 or 17, 18 years old. Someone keeps on telling you exactly what to do. It's okay, a little bit of guidance and taking someone's opinion. This business can start to tell you what to do and when to do it, as any business can, whether it's IBM or rock and roll or, anything in between.
Lying beside.
Journey is a self-contained band that writes its own material. And in order to write a dozen albums worth of songs, some planning must take place.
Yeah, we plan writing days. There are days we get together with the intention what we're going to write today, and we think about and talk about what we've done. Something might come up in our mind. There's certain ways to go about it, and they're not very stock. In Journey's case, especially, there's sometimes Jonathan and I get together, we come up with an idea. Then there's something we've stumbled onto, which is really good. Neil and John will get together, come up with an idea, then I come in and I finish the lyrics and the melodies and do some arrangement shiftings with what their original seed was. It gives them the freedom to complete some chord arrangements on their own, as opposed to me being there. I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I'd probably say, oh, it'd be great. So it's better for them to complete their arrangement ideas, and then me try to sort of to do an extension of the best quality of their chord arrangements, to step on top of that and stand on it and make it into something that I think they were sort of thinking about.
Steve has also tried his hand at collaborating with Kenny Loggins. They got together to write and record this song, Don't Fight It.
Live long enough to bound.
The music business is not a 9-to-5 job. It's an all-consuming part of your life. The recording, the touring, the business, the fans, the pressure all take their toll. And it complicates your personal life.
Yes, the music business is one of the hardest business probably to maintain a relationship, but you know what? It's a product of the 80s anyway. It makes no difference if you're in the music business or not. It's actually a product of the 90s because they're here already. It's a different world now. People are just really different. And it's really harder and harder to find someone that you can really hang with as a friend. I guess I realize you really must become friends first. Love helps. But you gotta be good friends.
Coming up, Steve Perry talks about marriage and children. Steve talks about his feelings on marriage.
I have no idea yet what I believe in as far as that goes. I'm very confused about that. I wouldn't know which way to say about that to anyone because I don't know what I believe in for myself. I would like to think, I'd love to have some children sometime, but then again, I'm nervous about the idea because it's a serious commitment, and it's a commitment with whom you have them with, and and what is that? Will it be there? Will she always be there? Gosh, I guess it is safer to be lonely sometimes.
Highway run.
Faithfully by Steve Perry and Journey. Steve thinks marriage is a good thing for many people as long as you don't change your life too much.
Your life is yours, and whatever you bring along with it, it belongs to you and means something to you. If that means your old buddy that you've known since when, or an old, maybe a friend that some girl you still can relate to because she just knows you better than anybody, that can be a threat to someone. It's sad but true. So it's hard to not drastically just change your life for someone because you want that to work. But then it's really taking something away from yourself that you shouldn't, because your life is yours and you bring a lot with it.
Still to come, Steve Perry releases a solo project and talks about producing his own album. Superstars of rock, saluting Steve Perry. Every so often, it's nice to get away by yourself. It gives you a chance to put things into perspective and to stretch. Steve Perry decided to do just that. He stepped away from Journey temporarily to work on his own solo album. It's been a tremendous success.
I liked it because I got to be involved in producing my own album. It was fun. I got to really have my e-ticket on all the rides,
The album is Street Talk, which is a name that Steve wanted to call a former band he was in. And the cut Oh Sherry became a huge success.
Oh Sherry was probably one of the first songs that Craig Cramp, myself, and Bill Como wrote. And we wrote it late night in Los Angeles. And all I had was the Oh Sherry part and the hold ons, and we ended up finishing the lyric with Randy Goodrum. So it was a four-way thing on that song, and it was cut 3 times before it was finally there. I didn't realize it was a very pleasant surprise to watch it grow into something. The last minute ideas that happened on it were the ones that sparked it up, I think. I'll tell you why it came together so fast, because it was an immediate need. And I think a lot of things were just put on the back burner because it took priority. And only goes to show what can happen when you just say, excuse me, there's a real big need here. Somebody has to help us here. And everybody just banded together in a quick moment to put all their energy together and did it. So, it's great when the greed factor goes away, how much good things can happen.
Steve also donated a song to the USA for Africa cause, If Only for the Moment Girl. Next, Steve Perry talks critically about critics. When you're down, you're up. And when you're up, you're down, at least in the eyes of the music critic. Some artists really are bothered by what critics say, but not Steve Perry.
I don't read those things. I don't read them. I kept on telling the guys, please do yourself a favor, and do me a favor. If you do read them, don't tell me, because I don't want to read them. You're trying to sell paper here. There's a lot of ways to sell paper. This is one of them. When they tell bad rap people, they'll do it to everybody, though. They really do. They'll worship the underdog no matter who is at that point. And then whenever anyone gets successful in this business, or any business, then they're in the barrel to be shot at, So it's nothing new. I remember some of the things they told me they were written about me. Do you think I really care? I don't. I swear to God, I don't. Because all I know is that I went down on that stage and we did a great show. We had a great time. The audience just wanted us back for more encores. We came back. We left that night satisfied. They left feeling they saw a good show and heard the songs they remembered when and the ones that were out now. And what do I care what one guy thought?
I need a love that grows.
Another Journey album featuring Steve Perry is on the way. But what does the future hold for the group? Are they going to stay together or not?
It's too hard to tell the future. I think that if the band wants to be together, it will. And that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be for any other reason. It's like a relationship. I really believe you shouldn't stay together with someone unless you want to.
Steve Perry dreamed of being a singing star since he was very young, and he's still dreaming.
The dream is only beginning. It's a daily thing. I just never, a friend of mine I write songs with, Randy Goodrum, said to me, he says, the man who stops to count his money is the man who loses the game. You don't need to just sit back and go. If you look back and go, wow, I've done it, then you might as well just get out of business or stop doing what you're doing, because that's not the reason to do it. You do it because you like it.
Our special thanks to Steve Perry for making this program possible. Superstars of Rock was brought to you by Lee Jeans, the brand that fits. This is Jim Hampton. Superstars of Rock was created and produced by Teleprograms Incorporated and is a presentation of Barnett Robbins Enterprises. This program is copyright 1985 and may not be copied or offered for resale.